And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. I'm so glad you guys are with me today. Our guest is MIA at the moment, but we're trying to get a hold of her and hopefully she'll call in. But our topic today is really about conscious wealth creation. And thank you, Anthony. I'm glad that the words and our quotes of the day in the first segment resonated with you. And please, for everybody on the Facebook live stream, please feel free to type in your comments in the comments section below the video, and I'll answer your questions and include you in the conversation as much as I can. So we're talking about sort of conscious creation today. And the reason why, this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, because although I am very much, how shall I say, I'm very much concerned and very much focused on sort of the energetic and spiritual side of life, I also believe in being grounded. I also believe that, we live in this world for a reason. We're here to do something, and if we ignore the physical side of life, if we ignore, what it means to create a good family life, a good business, a good job opportunity, whatever it is, whatever you do, if we ignore that physical side, then we're not really grounding this spiritual, energetic side into this day-to-day world. And so we're all here to learn and connect and to bring more of that energy into this world. Because if we weren't, we wouldn't be here, right? We're here for a reason. And so, if you believe in energy, if you believe that we're, spiritual beings having a physical experience, then it's important for us to ground that experience into this life. Because if we're going to pursue spiritual practices, if we want to meditate more, the more we're in alignment and the more we're better able to support ourselves so that we don't have to worry how we're going to pay the rent next month, when we don't have to worry whether we have enough food or clothing or enough food in our stomach, we're not growling. The better able we are to practice self-care and take care of ourselves, the freer we are to explore these spiritual, energetic worlds. And the better able we are to really be conscious co-creators. And look, are there a lot of unconscious people out there with a lot of money? Absolutely. Are they a good example to follow? In my personal opinion, no. Absolutely not. So what do we need to do is give this world an alternative to that unconscious way of creating wealth and abundance. And in order to do that, we have to embody those characteristics ourselves. Money and abundance in and of itself, there is nothing good or bad about it. It is completely neutral. I like to say, money is like a hammer, right? You can use a hammer to build a house, or you can use a hammer to bash somebody's head in. It's not about the hammer. Yes, there are better quality hammers and lesser quality hammers, but it's about how we use it. It's about how conscious we are with our choices around the hammer. The same way, it's about our conscious choices around how do we create wealth, abundance? How do we live a life that's sustainable, that's in harmony with nature, and in harmony with our own hearts, our own bodies, our own minds, our own spirits? We have this very Newtonian way of thinking about the world. that we're discrete and separate particles. Now, Newton came up with the idea of molecules and atoms and protons, electrons and neutrons as being these discrete and separate particles. But the truth is, the deeper and deeper we look into things, we're not separate and discrete from anything else in the universe. As a matter of fact, the closer and closer and closer we look at these discrete particles, the less and less and less we actually see. And the closer and closer we look, the more we find that what we thought was a solid little chunk of matter is really nothing more than an energy field. And that's what we're made up of. So what does that mean? If even the tiniest point that we can see with our current technology is starting to not act like a particle but more like a wave, and is no longer something solid but more like a probability field or an energetic field, if that's our fundamental component of what we're all made of, then is that all we are? Is this physical solid being? Is this table nothing but some discrete, separate physical entity from ourselves? Not at all. Not at all. There's this flow that's constantly happening. There's this back and forth, this interrelation between us. And as a matter of fact, when you get together with another being, be it human, animal, mineral, vegetable, not only is there a connection between us, but in that connection creates a field. This field of relationship, because we all relate to one another through some kind of relationship. And that relationship creates this field between us of how we connect. And are we moving towards each other or backing off from each other? Are we feeling what it's like to be in the presence of each other or not? Are we interpreting what the other person is feeling, thinking, or saying in an accurate manner, or do we have these filters over our senses that are reinterpreting what those feelings are? So when it comes down to even the practical things, this idea, this feeling that we are interconnected, this is not something to just think about when we're in our yoga class or meditating. This is something that needs to be a part of our entire life, of our entire day. Now look, this may not necessarily be the easiest thing to figure out how to integrate into our day-to-day life. And it does not mean that we have to get it all right away. And it does not mean that we have to be perfect this afternoon. It is a process and a practice. And it's something that we work towards and we take and play towards in a very step-by-step manner. And look, we're human beings. There's an ebb and flow. And some days we're going to do better and some days we're not going to do as good. And that's okay. If we can be gentler with ourselves, if we can be kinder to ourselves, if we can be a little less critical of ourselves, and know that we are all doing the best we can with what we have at the time, then we can not only continue our path and our development each and every day, but we can do it in a kinder, gentler fashion so that we can actually enjoy it instead of making it so much work. It never ceases to amaze me how many people look at their spiritual development as something they have to work at and work at and work at, like, we're building a building and we have to, break boulders and dig deep holes in the ground and lift heavy girders. It doesn't have to be so laborsome. And the more we can infuse our joy, the more we can infuse our enthusiasm, the more we can infuse the energy of play into our development, the more we can enjoy every single step along the way. You know, I've said it before on the show, and I'm going to say it again because it is such an important lesson. You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. If we're struggling and killing ourselves and not taking care of ourselves throughout our life, what makes us think that we're going to have a happy ending to our life? But if we have a happy, joyful, aligned, and enthusiastic presence about us as we're going through our day-to-day life, then we will surely have a happy, playful, enthusiastic ending to our life. Somebody once said, how we live our life is how we end our life. And if you want to pass from this incarnation to the next, from this lifetime to whatever comes after, if you want to go that way in a joyful manner, then let's work towards being more and more joyful and aligned with who and what we truly are each and every day. Because it's in those little moments between when we get up in the morning, when we go to work, when we're in our cars or riding the subways or buses, when we're interacting with people we don't even know who they are. Do we give them a smile or a frown? Do we help them pick up something that they dropped on the ground? You know, do we push past them or do we allow them the space to walk in front of us? It's in those little choices and those little decisions and how we show up in all of those little moments that determine what kind of day we have, determine what kind of week we have, what kind of month we have, what kind of year we have, and what kind of life we have. So being a conscious creator of abundance is not just about how many zeros are in our bank account or how many ones with zeros after them are in our bank account. It's about how we create the energy of our day-to-day life. So, let me know what you think. Thank you, Nicole, Lana, and Priya. Very good to see you, Priya, for joining us on the Facebook live stream. How do you create a more joyful life? What kind of awareness and consciousness do you bring to your life? Let me know. We'll continue to discuss this in our next segment. And if we're lucky, we'll find our guest. So everyone, stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, and we'll be right back after these messages.